Welcome to the film Historic Houses and Landscapes of Western New Paltz, a production of Historic Huguenot Street. I'm Marietta Schneider, Board Chair of Historic Huguenot Street, and with me is Val Osborne, our Vice Chair.
This film features the historic hamlets of Western New Paltz, the people who settled there, the houses they built, and their landscapes.
The film recognizes that these lands were the sacred ancestral homelands of the Munsee Lenape people. We pay honor to their ancestors past and present, and we are committed to build a more inclusive and equitable space for all. Many of the homesteads you will see relied on enslaved Africans to work on the land and in the households. And while enslaved Africans' contributions are not well documented, they should be recognized as part of the fabric contributing to the growth and prosperity of our community.
The film also explores the lives of the original builders of the houses you will see and celebrates the stewardship of the current owners. Our sincere thanks to Mary Ottaway, Jim Ottaway, and Professor William Rhodes for their long-term support of our programs and their sponsorship of this film and its publications.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
It's great to be here in your house today. Such a unique and beautiful domicile. And you've explained to us a little bit about your vision for creating this house and how you went about it. Mm-hmm. And so we want to give you the opportunity to tell people how you envisioned this and the process you went through.
I guess it all started when I walked into a timber frame house years ago, and I looked around and thought, wow, I would love to live here. But how do you make that happen?
Explain for people the difference between a timber frame house and a post and beam house.
This is a great question. So timber framing is quite different. So a lot of people will call a timber frame a post and beam. And when we work with timber framers, that's taboo. So post and beam are made with all the joints with metal hardware. Mm-hmm. And a timber frame actually uses pegs, and you stick the peg through a hole, and all the joinery in the house is made only with wood. Timber framing was this long time art. And when you get to make something from scratch and you're able to create and you see that vision, I wanted to put something here on this earth that would outlast me and would be here a lifetime. And that's what a timber frame does.
Could you talk about the wood a little bit? And then I want you to talk about Old Glory.
Okay. So the wood in this house really came from out west. It was not like we just walked into a shop and you find the wood. We had to go exploring. So we would fly back and forth to Montana. We worked with these amazing artisans that were timber framers, and we would find wood in very special places. Sometimes we would drive miles and miles into these dark fields in Montana through the wilderness, and then all of a sudden come up to a wood yard. And there would be something that we didn't even know what it was, but they're like, that's part of your timber frame house. And we have different variations of wood. The majority is Doug fir, which is most popular out west. And then also there's some larch, which is also a very pretty type of wood. And I think the most interesting find when I think back is, at one point I wanted these really large, massive timbers. So we actually went down to Colorado and we heard about this dumpster that was filled with a burn. And inside that dumpster basically were these massive, massive timbers. And what we did, or what they did, they peeled them back like a banana. And
peeled off the burn part.
All the burn parts came off, and underneath was these magical giant sticks of timber. And so that's how we came about with the wood.
How about Old Glory?
Okay, so she's special. Old Glory holds up this whole house, and it goes from all the way down to the lower level, through the foyer, up into the loft, and it's what holds up this entire house. And I have to say, she's this big, beautiful, standing dead piece, and we prayed that Old Glory would have the strength and what she did, and she doesn't disappoint to this day. Sometimes you even just have to go up and hug her.
I
And
think
most people do. You know, one of the things I wanted to ensure was when you walked into this house, you wanted to feel that you were one with nature. And one of the things I hope I achieved was sort of taking a look at the lighting structure and saying, well, how can we look at this and what's my favorite things in the world? And that's sort of looking at the stars and the moon, the planets, and saying, well, how can we now take that into lighting? So a lot of the lights we built ourselves, and you see these orbs of light that just reflect, and they cast different shadows throughout the house, and they glisten on the wood at night. And it's truly feeling that you're under that moon or those stars every single second that you're in the house in the evenings. And you could just take that breath and feel like you are one with nature.
So could you talk a little bit about the setting and how you positioned the house and why?
Sure. People thought we were crazy. So the house actually has a flat piece of land and then it slopes down. And I remember our excavator saying to us, why are you placing your house on the down? And one of the things I realized was the relationship of where we're going to put the house, what we would see, what people from the street would see. And I really wanted this house to be tucked away. We have a beautiful view of the ridge, but yet you can't see us from the road. And, you know, one of the big things as we're looking at the Shawangunk Mountains, which are stunning every day, all of a sudden we were focusing our efforts on that front view, but then we turned around and to the back of us was just this incredible mountainous view. And then we wanted to use the Earth's elements, like the sun, to warm the house in the winter. So a lot of that solar heat gain coefficient came in, and we used the sun in the winter with these large overhangs to protect us in the summertime to not have a lot of heat. But in the winter, we take all that heat and we're not paying for it. And so, you know, I think the placement of the house is unique. I came to this area back in, I guess it was 1997 when I started skydiving here. And I knew that year, the second I came up to Gardner, New York, I said, this is where I want to live for the rest of my life.
Well, you and your husband have created an incredible work of art that will be here for a long, long time.
Fingers crossed.
And so thank you. Is there anything else you want to add before we end?
I just think one thing to new homeowners, as you're building, let's be conscious about what we're building these days and try to get things that make sense for the planet, make sense that will be here for lifetimes beyond us, and keeping things that are green and good for the environment, and that will be here way beyond our years.